Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get started with today's video, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers and everybody who supported the channel. I've recently hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is huge. I didn't think I'd get to 1,000 subscribers, so again, thank you for all your support. I do want to keep the channel growing, so please tell your family, tell your friends, tell everybody you know to check out the channel, and let's keep the momentum going. So thank you again. And now with that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. I thought today we would focus on this drawing practice that I actually saw on another YouTuber's channel. That YouTuber is Drewscape. I'll link his channel down below. Be sure to check him out. He's a really talented artist. But he posted this video a few weeks ago about this drawing practice that is all about focusing on the shadows and the darker tones of whatever object you're drawing, whether it be something from a reference photo or something from life. And so you just take whatever it is that you're drawing and you just draw the shadows and the darker tones, and you kind of just let your paper act as the highlights and the midtones. It's super helpful in getting you to easily see the different values of whatever it is that you're drawing, and it kind of helps you map all of that out a lot quicker. And it's also just super fun, and you kind of get like a really interesting result at the end of it. So I've got a few images here that I'm going to use for the video. They're also all black and white images, which also help just to identify like the darker tones and the lighter tones. So if you're new to this type of practice, I highly recommend using like black and white photos. So let's get started. So the first image we're going to be doing is of this boat on the water. And again, like I said, you just want to focus on drawing the darker values that you see, and kind of leave out the highlights and the lighter tones. So I'm just going to start with that front end of the boat and make my way around. And so again, like I said, I'm just drawing the darker values. So whatever is being caught by the sunlight here in this image, I'm essentially going to ignore and just focus on the darker values. And I'm basically just letting the paper of my sketchbook act as the highlights and the lighter values in this image. And so now I'm just going to add this shadow here, just right across the side of the boat, right along there. And now I'm just going to fill in the shadows inside the boat that are essentially not being caught by the light. And I'm just going to fill those in. And you see, to kind of show the edge of that side of the boat, I'm just basically drawing the shadow underneath it. I'm not drawing the edge itself. And now the same thing over here, because you kind of have that oar sitting on that side of the boat. I'm basically just going to draw the darker values around it, kind of giving me that oar shape there. I'm gonna add in a little bit of the shadow in the boards of the boat there. The shadow of the boat in the water. And because I have a brush pen, I'm gonna kind of try to add in some of the like water effects, like the ripples in the water, just to kind of add some more context. All right, so there's our first image of that little boat sitting out in the water. I'll actually kind of show the little shadow of the boat. And there, just like that, you got a little boat sitting in the water. So yes, as you can see, you get a very interesting end result just by drawing the dark values, the shadows. So now for this next image, I'm gonna try drawing this horse. And so as you can see, this horse has, for the most part, a very lighter toned nose, and then he's got like that half of his face that seems to be the darker color. And I'm just gonna kind of put in some shape there for his hair, ear, opposite side. And so like I said, I'm just gonna focus on drawing the darker value of that side of his face that's kind of facing us. So I'm just gonna try to draw that very basic shape. I'm gonna put his eye there. The ridge of his eye on the other side of his face, which is also that darker value. And then I'm kind of just not going to address the rest of his face, but I will work my way over to his jaw. And okay. And then I'm also going to draw his nostril, which is a darker color here. And then we'll just add that darker value to part of his face. And so then I am going to go back here and I'm just going to add just that lower lip. And I'm also going to add in, just for reference, I'm going to add in a fence post. And again, using a brush pen, it's kind of neat because you can get like these dry brush effects, so it kind of makes it look like the actual like older wood of the fence. And then I think I'll also add in the boards for the fence as well, just because why not? I'm going to try as best I can on the other side to add the fence kind of around the shape of his nose. And so I'm gonna keep adding in these values just kind of around, like the lighter values of his mouth. And then we'll add in back of his neck. There's our horse. So now for the final image, we're gonna try and do this lighthouse. And I'm gonna see if I can try to just fit it in this corner. I'm gonna start with the top of it, that little platform part. Just gonna draw kind of like the back edges of the bars of the fences to kind of show that shadows hidden under there. Draw the main tower. A little indication of the windows there. And then these kind of darker stripes going around the tower. And then we're going to add the shadow on that side. Draw just kind of this part of the building that's there next to it. We'll just have top of that roof. And then the roof that's coming across. Again, the shadows under like the lips of the eaves of the roof. we'll just add some of that texture to the rest of the building below. And there you have it. There's our little lighthouse. So yes, as you can see, this is a really good way to not only practice, obviously, drawing, but to practice recognizing all the different tones in whatever object it is you happen to be drawing. And it's very fun. It's also a great way if you're somebody who's struggling to kind of like loosen up a bit. It's a great way to get you kind of out of your own head about it and just focus on one part of your object instead of the entire thing. You know, you're just focusing on the darker tones, on the shadows, and it kind of just helps to compartmentalize the image as a whole. So it's super effective. It's super fun. Hopefully you were able to draw along with me. If not, you know, now's a great time to start, or, you know, maybe if you want to try tomorrow or whatever the case may be. But I highly recommend you try it. Again, just focus on the shadows, the darker values of an image, and it's a great way to start training your eye to spot the different tones in whatever it is that you're drawing. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for checking it out. And again, thank you for subscribing and all the support. I really appreciate it. 1,000 subscribers. Let's keep it going. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.